Hello friends, in this video we will discuss addition of two or more vectors using graphical method. Equal vectors. So what are equal vectors? Two parallel vectors of same length are equal vectors. So here you can see these are two vectors which are parallel to each other. Suppose first is vector A and second one is vector B. Then vector A would equal to vector B because these two vectors have same length and also the same direction. The same way, if we have a vector P here and we want to draw another vector which is equal to vector P, then for that we need to draw a parallel vector of the same length and also in the same direction. So this second vector would equal to the vector P. Suppose we have a vector Q, then the equal vector of Q would be a parallel vector of same length and same direction. This vector would equal to vector Q. Negative vectors. Negative vectors have same length and exactly opposite direction of original vectors. Suppose we have this vector A and we have to draw negative vector of A, that means minus A. So for that we will draw a parallel vector to A of the same length but the opposite direction. So this would be the negative vector A. Let's take another example. We have vector P here and we want to draw opposite vector of P, or you can say negative vector of P. In that case we will draw a parallel line of the same length but the arrow would be at the other end or in the opposite direction. This is minus P vector. Here is another example. Suppose this is vector Q and we want to draw a minus Q or negative Q vector. For that we will draw a parallel vector to Q and we will draw the arrow at the opposite end here. This would be the minus Q. Multiplication by a constant. Like we have vector A here and we want to draw vector twice A, means we are multiplying this vector A by 2. 2 is a constant. So direction of 2A would be the same as vector A but the length would be the twice. This is the 2A vector. So 2A vector would have the length twice the vector A and direction would be the same. Here we have vector P and we have to draw 3 times P vector or 3P. So for that we will draw a parallel vector to P with the length 3 times and direction would be the same. This is 3P vector. Same way we have a vector Q here and we want to draw a 4Q vector. In that case we will draw a parallel vector to Q with the length 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times. This is 4Q vector. Addition of two vectors. We use head to tail method to add two or more vectors. So here we are going to add vector A and vector B to get the resultant as vector C. So in this case first we will draw vector A. So we will draw a parallel vector of A of the same length and same direction. You know the arrow end of the vector is called as head and the another end called as tail. The same way for vector B, this arrow end is head and the another end is the tail. So here we have drawn vector A and from the head of vector A, means from this point, we will start the tail of vector B and then draw vector B. So from this point we have to draw vector B. So draw a parallel vector of B of the same length and same direction like this. So now we have A and plus B. So here it is our start point and this is our end point. We will join start and end points to find resultant. Just join them with a straight line. This blue vector is our resultant vector and its direction would be towards the end point. Resultant vector is also vector C. So this is also vector C and vector C is the addition of vector A plus vector B. You can see this figure makes a triangle. That's why this method is also called as triangle method. Subtraction of vectors. Here we have to subtract vector A minus vector B. It is the same thing like we are adding vector A and negative of vector B. So we will use head to tail method to add vector A and vector minus B. So step 1, draw vector A, parallel vector to A of same length and same direction. Then from the head of vector A, we will start the tail of vector minus B. This is our vector B, and minus B vector would be the parallel vector of the same length but the opposite direction. So from this point we will draw minus B. So we have A plus minus B, and which equals A minus B. So to draw the resultant, we will join start and end points, and direction would be towards the end point, and resultant equals vector A minus vector B. Now we have to add twice A plus 3B. So for that, first we will draw vector 2A. So draw a parallel vector of A with twice length and same direction. Now from the head of 2A we will draw 3B. So draw a parallel vector to B with length 3 times. Now place start point and end point and then join them to find resultant. Join with a straight line and direction would be towards end point. So this resultant vector R equals 2A plus 3B. Next is addition of more than 2 vectors. So here we are going to add 4 vectors using head to tail method. So again we will follow the same steps. First draw vector A of the same length and same direction. Now from the head of vector A, we will start the tail of vector B and draw a parallel vector to B of same length and same direction like this. And then from the head of vector B, draw vector C. Draw a parallel vector to C of same length and same direction. Then from the head of vector C, draw vector D. So draw a parallel vector to D of same length and same direction. We drew all the 4 vectors joining head of one vector to the tail of another vector. This way, now place start point and end point and then join them to draw resultant, and direction would be towards end point. This is our resultant vector, and this resultant vector equals vector A plus vector B plus vector C plus vector D. If you are given more vectors to add, just continue adding head of previous vector to the tail of next vector and then join start and end points to get the resultant. I hope you understand this topic so far. In the next video, we will discuss how to calculate magnitude and direction of resultant vector numerically. So stay tuned and study more. Don't forget to subscribe, share and likes for daily updates. Thank you.